Hello everybody, welcome to SSB Crack Exams. I'm Anuradha and in today's session I'm going to show you important interview questions that were asked to a NDA recommended candidate. So these kinds of questions you can expect from your SSB interview, and in today's session I will also give you certain tips that you can apply while you are preparing for these kinds of interview questions in SSB. But before we look into these questions, let me tell you that if you want to prepare for your different defense competitive exams at the comfort of your home, you can do so by just logging into our website ssbcrackexams.com and subscribing to the respective courses. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel, our Instagram page, our Twitter page, join our Telegram group, and you can also know more about the upcoming exams and new notifications and updates by registering yourselves into the website learn.ssbcrackexams.com. You can also download our mobile app from the Google Play Store and enroll to all our courses. So let's start, but before that, let me give you a small disclaimer, and that is the questions that I'm going to show you are basically taken from the SSB interview experiences shared by a recommended candidate on our website ssbcrack.com. So you may or may not face the similar questions in your SSB interview. So just take these kinds of questions that I'm going to show you in today's session as a reference, and the ways that I'm going to tell you will help you further in your preparation for these kinds of questions when you will face them in your SSB interview. So let's start with the questions then. So first question can be, what is the meaning of your name? So this question was asked to the candidate, and the candidate has to have a personal information about his own self if he wants to answer to this kind of question. And this is also important because as a human being you should be well aware of what is the meaning of your name. So you can just find out the meaning of your name by asking the persons who have named you, or by just googling your name and finding out the meaning. The second question which was asked was, tell me about your strengths and weaknesses, approximately 2 to 5. So basically you have to tell to the IO about 2 to 5 strengths or weaknesses that you have. Now how you will answer these questions, this is important because it is one of the common questions asked not only in the SSB interview but also in all the other interviews in the world. So I have conducted a session especially on these kinds of important questions, especially on the question about your strengths and weaknesses. So you can just refer to my video session on the strengths and weaknesses questions and how you can reply to these kinds of questions. The next question which was asked was, why do you want to be a part of Indian Armed Forces as an officer? Now this question is again pertaining to a question which will test the candidates genuine passion to join the Indian Armed Forces. So as a candidate you are applying to the Indian Armed Forces different defense competitive exams, you are writing an exam for it, and when you will be called for the SSB interview you should have ample knowledge and ample reason of becoming the part of the Indian Armed Forces. So this is what will be asked of you by the IO in the SSB interview. So prepare your answer likewise about why you want to be the part of the Indian Armed Forces as an officer. Right? The next question that was asked was, what qualities make you fit for Indian Armed Forces? So for this you need to have a very good knowledge about the different OLQs, that is officer like qualities. So I just conducted a session on the 15 officer like qualities. Go through that session if you want and try to remember all the 15 OLQs so that you can relate to those OLQs and find out the strongest qualities that match with the OLQs. One of the finest OLQs will be matching with your finest qualities. So only those qualities you can describe to the IO and make and also explain to him about why those qualities you think will make you fit for the Indian Armed Forces, right? So you can choose 2 to 3 OLQs and you can tell the IO about why you think the Indian Armed Forces will be a better place for you to show your skills and qualities. Right. Now, the next question was, how many friends and good friends do you have? Now, this is basically a question which is asked of a candidate pertaining to his personal life. So, this is basically the social life that a candidate enjoys in his life. That is, how many friends he has and what are the good friends. How many good friends does that candidate have? So, basically, this question is asked to know about more about the candidate, about his social life, what kind of friends that he talks with, and how many good friends he has and all. The next is, what qualities do you see in someone before making them your friends? This is again a question which is which is asking about a candidates, about your social life, about what are the qualities that you will look into a friend, in a person before you make him as your friend. But this is more pertaining to yourself, about your own qualities, your likes and dislikes. So be very careful when you'll be talking about what are the qualities you will see in a person before you make that person your friend, right? That will describe you as well. The next question which was asked was, who is your best friend? Why did you choose him as your best friend, and how do you spend time with him? Now, who is your best friend? It's easy to answer. You can have one or two or three best friends, so you can answer like that. Why did you choose him as your best friend? Again, this question is crucial because it will be pointing more towards your likes, about what kind of friends you like, talking with, you like hanging out with. So again, this is pertaining to somewhat the previous question that was asked, what qualities you see in someone before making them your friends. So the same question, the same thing applies for this question as well. And how do you spend time with him? Well, you can say that you play with him, you study with him, you hang out with him. So whatever you do with your best friends, you can just relate to that. So that will also inform the IO about what are the things that you do in your pastime. So basically, whatever questions has been asked in the SSB interview to this candidate is pertaining to his own personal life, his own inner life, through his friends, through his social life, right? Right, we will go to the next question, which is, can you tell me the name of this plane shown in the calendar? And there was a calendar on the left wall. So basically, the candidate was asked by the IO, and these kinds of questions you will get if you have selected your first priority, your first choice as the Air Force, right? So if you have gone for this Air Force interviews in SSP, you can be asked about the to identify the aircraft, the picture of which can be there in a calendar or on the wall. So please be aware of the different aircrafts, how to identify different aircrafts. You can find a video pertaining to the same thing about how you can identify different aircrafts, which has been conducted by Hemant sir. So you can just take a look into that video and you will know how to identify aircrafts. And if you have taken your first choice as the Indian Navy, and if you have gone for the Indian Navy interview in SSB, you can be asked about the different aircraft carriers, different vessels, aircraft destroyers as well. So please be aware of the basic things about the Indian aircrafts and Indian aircraft carriers and vessels, about all these things. And also, if you have applied for the Indian Army, be aware of the different weapons and artilleries used by the Indian Army as well. So this kind of question has been asked to test the candidate's general knowledge about the organization he is interested in applying for. The next question that was asked is, why were you not selected as the head boy of your school? Now, this is a very tricky question, and you can say this kinds of question can come as a question that will allow the IO to see how you react to a particular situation. So, this kinds of questions basically build up your stress and can cause you to be nervous, or think about your past too much. It's a kind of a question which also tests your psychology about certain important ideas or things in life, like failures. Failure is a taboo, and many of the people look on failures like it's a non achievement basically. But here you need to be very careful, because you need not show to the IO that the failure was a kind of a non achievement for you. You need to be very positive, hopeful, and optimistic about the failure, be it why you were not selected as the head boy of your school, or if your marks had been low, why you were why you were were not successful in a particular paper, or why you didn't score much in a particular paper. So these kinds of questions can come and it can build up stress on you, but just relax and focus on the question and try to answer the question as positively as possible. Right? Look on the failure as a situation which has not given you any kind of disadvantage but has added to your advantage, right? So these kinds of questions are basically asked by the IO to see how you react to a particular situation, how you will react if you face some kind of difficult and stressful questions like these, and how you see certain ideas or things, or how your attitude towards certain negative things in life are. So be very careful about these tactful questions asked in SSB interview. The next is, which is your favorite subject and why? Now, this is a very common question. Your favorite subject and why? Well, I would suggest be very careful when you're answering this question, because a lot of the other questions which will follow this question will depend on your answering this particular question. What is your favorite subject and why? So, whatever subject you are naming, be sure that you know the basics of that particular subject. Like, for example, if you're saying that your favorite subject is English, you should know basics of English grammar and basics of English vocabulary. Right? If you're saying, for example, your favorite subject is maths, then be sure that you know basics of maths and you have ample good knowledge about it. Do not randomly just answer this question, because you can face problem, and I'm sure of it, if you're not if you're answering this question randomly, because the IO will ask question depending on this very answer that you will give for the question, and I will show you how. So let's go to the next question and you will know. So, as all of us have some ideal in our life, may I know yours and why you think he or she is your idol? Now, this is a question which is not very tricky, I would say, because this will basically test what kind of a person you are, what kind of things do you like in your life, who is your idol. Now, not necessarily that person has to be connected with defense, it can be of any profession, but be sure that you know of that person and not just randomly name any person as your idol. So be sure that whoever is your idol, you know ample things about that person, about whatever his or her works are or his or her achievements are in their particular field, right? So, here comes the question I was talking about. Which topic do you like the most in mathematics? Now, why mathematics? Because I'm sure that the candidate that the IO has asked, which is your favorite subject and why, he has answered that it is mathematics. That is why the questions are now coming from mathematics itself. So, be sure when you're answering that question, you need to also explain the reason why you love that particular subject and not just name the subject. So please be sure that you have concrete reasons of loving that particular subject, right? Not the reason something like that you score, so you score highest marks in that subject, that's why you like that subject. It will not be acceptable. So build up any concrete reason, one or two concrete reasons that you have for liking that particular subject. So maybe the candidate has answered this question as mathematics. That is why the IO now asks, which topic do you like the most in mathematics, right? This is a very simple question. So you can answer this question pertaining to any subject that you like. The next question is, can you tell me the three uses or significance of trigonometry? Now, do you see how the questions are following one another? It has started from which subject do you like and which topic do you like in mathematics, because he has answered mathematics as his favorite subject. Now the question is pertaining to trigonometry. So you can very well imagine that the candidate must have answered the most favorite topic of his in mathematics is trigonometry. That's why the question, can you tell me the three uses or significance of trigonometry? So you see, this question has been asked not only to test the candidate's knowledge about his favorite subject, but also to see how practically he can use or he can think his favorite subject can be of any use. Okay, so here the candidate needs to tell about the three uses or significance of the topic in that particular subject that he likes. Right? The next question asked was, tell me the approximate height, length, and width of the room or tiles of the interview room. This is also pertaining to trigonometry, right? So now the IO is asking about the practical thing about trigonometry. the approximate height, length, and width of the room, or the tile, particularly on the floor or on the wall of the interview room. So, likewise, you need to have basic knowledge about it to explain this particular question. Can you guess the approximate volume of water in the glass on my table? Now, this question is a very common question asked not only in SSB interview but also other interviews in the world, because this checks the candidate's reasoning power, the logical ability of the candidate to guess what is the common sense of the candidate tells him what is the volume of water in the glass on a table. Because you don't have a measuring instrument to measure, you need to be very careful and very practical when you will be answering this question, right? Now, next is tell me any five national and international news. Now, this is very common because the candidate is expected to know more about his surroundings and specifically the current scenario, both geopolitical as well as the social scenario, pertaining not only to his own country but also to the whole world, to the other countries also. So, therefore, you need to have very clear knowledge about the current affairs. So, start reading newspapers, start following TV channels, or you can subscribe to those portals where you get all the news updates in your mobile or in your laptop, and you can go through them every day and jot down the major important news, both national and international, so that you can keep a track of what are the important things happening not only in your country but also outside your country. So, this question is basically asked by the IU to test what or how aware you are not only of whatever is happening around you in your country but also in the whole world, right? The next question is what is the South China Sea and where is it located? Also, tell me its significance. Now, if you don't know what South China Sea is, where it is located, and its significance, I will tell you some important basic points about the South China Sea. So, the South China Sea is a marginal sea that is part of the Pacific Ocean. It is located south of China, east of Vietnam, west of the Philippines, east of the Malay Peninsula and Sumatra, up to the Strait of Singapore in the western, and north of the Bangka Belitung Islands and Borneo. States and territories which borders the sea clockwise from north include the People's Republic of China, the Republic of China or Taiwan, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, Singapore, and Vietnam, right? And pertaining to its significance, the sea carries tremendous strategic importance. One third of the world's shipping passes through it, carrying over $3 trillion in trade each year. It contains lucrative fisheries which are crucial for the food security of millions in Southeast Asia. Huge oil and gas reserves are believed to lie beneath its seabed. It is the second most used sea lane in the world. This body of water holds one third of the entire world's marine biodiversity, thereby making it a very important area for the ecosystem. Now, why suddenly the IO asked this question to the student? This is because the South China Sea has been a thing of dispute between different countries and territories. Several countries have made competing territorial claims over the South China Sea over decades. So, such disputes have been regarded as Asia's most potentially dangerous point of conflict. Both the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China ROC, commonly known as Taiwan, claim almost the entire body as their own, demarcating their claims within what is known as the nine dotted line, which claims overlap with virtually every other country in the region. So, this is basically an issue of dispute. And so, if the student doesn't know about it, if you don't know about it, I would suggest that you do ample online research about some issues of dispute like the South China Sea so that you are aware of the different important disputable issues like this, right? Now, I will go to the next question, which was asked of the candidate, and that is can you name the states that surround Madhya Pradesh? Now, basically, this question why Madhya Pradesh? The candidate belongs to Madhya Pradesh. So, if you're belonging from from the North India or from South India, you need to be well aware of the state that you are in and what are the other states that surround your state, the state that you belong to, right? So that is why this question has come, and the IO asked this question to the candidate to test about not only the news, the current affairs that he know about his own country and also of the world, but also the place that he is living in, that is around his own state as well. So you need to be very geopolitically aware of yourself. The next question is name the South Indian states. So you need to be very careful because if you are a student from North India, you can be asked to, talk about the South Indian states or vice versa. And you need to be very, again, geopolitically aware of your own location, of your own state, and the other states of your country as well to answer these kinds of questions, right? The next question is what do you think is the currency used in the region of POK or Pakistan occupied Kashmir? Now, if you don't know what the currency used in that region and you may be a little bit, confused about, oh my god, POK and I don't know what is the currency used here, read the question once again. The currency used in the region of Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Now, if that region of Kashmir is occupied by Pakistan, then what do you think whose currency will be used there? Obviously, of Pakistan. And if you don't know, then the currency used in Pakistan is Pakistani rupee, right? So the answer will be the same here as well. So for these kinds of question, you need not to rack your brains or have huge general knowledge. You should have a very basic common sense and logical ability to go through the question and read between the lines and find out the answer. So it may happen that you don't know the answer, but it's totally fine. But this kinds of questions are again asked of the IO to you to test whether you have the mental capability of finding out the answer by just reading between the lines and be observant enough to not rack your brain, but to analyze the question and to use your common sense likewise. Okay. The next question is tell me something about CPEC. What are the names of the ports it joins? Again, if you don't know about what CPEC is, then let me tell you about this. Basically, it is the China Pakistan Economic Corridor. CPEC. Now, what is CPEC or CPEC? The China Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC is a collection of infrastructure projects worth around $46 billion meant to deepen economic ties between China and Pakistan. The CPEC will connect China's largest province, Xinjiang, with Pakistan's Gwadar port in Balochistan. It was launched in 2015 and passes through Pakistan occupied Kashmir and Balochistan. Now, let me tell you, because one of the projects of CPEC is a transportation line which will be passing through Pakistan occupied Kashmir, it is unacceptable to the Indian government. And this is the reason that the India is facing lots of issues with the CPEC projects, right? So the CPEC is a part of Chinese President Xi Jinping's Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Maritime Silk Road projects, two development plans that seek to deepen mainland China's economic cooperation with a number of Asian and European countries. So it's very crucial politically because it's again a very disputable issue of CPEC that the Indian government is facing challenges with, because CPEC can also pose a security threat to our nation. That is why this question has been asked by the IO to the candidate to test whether he is well aware of the current political issues that are on the rise. Right now, pertaining to the question with it, that is, what are the names of the ports it joins? Basically, modern transportation networks built under CPEC link seaports in Gwadar. Gwadar port in Balochistan is one of the one of the largest. It is the main port in this CPEC project. So it links seaports in Gwadar and Karachi with northern Pakistan, as well as points further north in western China and Central Asia. So the port names of these Western China and Central Asia have not known, but it is definitely Gwadar port, which is the main port functioning in the CPEC project, right? Now, coming to the next question is, which oceans do you have to cross if you want to go from India to America through the water bodies route? Now, basically, this is to test your knowledge about the different water route and the air route, the land route as well between different continents. So, you have to be very well aware of the traveling purpose from India to America, also from India to other continents like Australia or to Europe and such. So you need to be very well aware of it, and you can find out the water bodies route, the air route as well, and the land routes of traveling from one continent, from one country to the other by googling it. So you can just google and do some online research on it, and you will be well aware of it again. Right. The next question asked was, who is your favorite singer and from where does he or she belong? And what type of songs do you like and which one is your favorite song? So these kinds of questions are again questions which are very light, and these questions are asked of the candidate to test what are the likes and dislikes of that particular candidate, and whether that person knows and is confident about his own likes and dislikes. So you need to be well aware of your favorite singer and the some of the life, the achievements, the works of that particular singer. So if you like some singer, find out about him or her, find out which state does that person belong to, and which what are the works of that person, whether they have received any kind of awards and all. Also, if you like some kind of songs, you can also find out which song you like the most and why. So also find out why you like that song. What is the meaning of that song? Why it was created at the first place. Also try to find out some history of the songs that you like, the genre of the songs. For example, if you like to listen to jazz music, try to find out something about the history of jazz music, how it came into being, how it was created on the first place, and you'll be good to go. Because these kinds of questions are though light and are asked to just lighten the mood of the building tension of the atmosphere around you. It will also be asked by the IO to test about how confident and how well aware and how genuine you are about the things that you genuinely like. So be aware of it and be very confident in your answering. So I have given you certain questions in today's session so that you can refer to these kinds of questions and prepare your answers. Likewise, as I've already added in the disclaimer, you may or may not face these questions in your SSP interview, but my explaining to you the ways you can answer these questions and also the questions itself must have given you some basic idea about how you should prepare for these kinds of questions when they will be asked of you in the SSP interview. So, first of all, be well aware of your own personal things about how you are as a person, what are your strengths and weaknesses, what are your likes and dislikes very clearly. And also, not only about yourself, but about your social life, your family life, your personal life, your academic life as well. Also, be aware of the current situation, the current scenario, current affairs, the things that's going around not only around you, but also outside the country that you live in. Right? So be aware geopolitically, socially, culturally, religiously as well. Okay, so these were some of the questions. Go through these questions and prepare likewise the answers that I've explained to you, that how you can answer these kinds of questions if you face these kinds of questions in your SSB interview. To prepare in a more thorough way and in a more constructive way for your SSB interview, you can buy these books by logging on to our website SSP Crack Shop. You can also order these books from Amazon and Flipkart. The links of these books are provided in the description below. So you can just go through these books. These books will be very helpful to you while you are preparing for your SSP interview. So this was all about for today's session. I will see you next with the part 2 of this session itself, where I will be coming back with some more original questions asked to an NDA recommended candidate in the SSB interview. Till then, stay tuned to SSB Crack Exams, follow us on our YouTube channel, and work hard. Jai Hind.